The story starts in chapter 4. Everything is fine, but Dutch is noticing one thing. He's noticing John is acting in a weird way. Micah too is telling him John is suspicious and that he might be the rat. Dutch ignores Micah for a while, but after a while he starts to question John's loyalty. Dutch and Hosea plan the Saint Denis robbery, and all the things are well now. The next day, the gang robs the Saint Denis bank, but after getting the money, Milton shoots Hosea in front of the gang. Dutch was shocked. All of them were. They escape from there, but Dutch had a chance to save John, and Dutch leaves John and escapes. Dutch thinks this all happened because of John, and John is the rat. The gang escapes to Tahiti but ends up on Guarma after barely escaping. From there, the gang regroups at Lakay. The Pinkertons ambush them, and they manage to fend them off. Dutch is still thinking about Hosea. He misses him greatly, his wisdom. The gang moves to Beaver Hollow, and Dutch is not happy about Arthur saving John, and he questions Arthur's loyalty. Micah started to make sense for Dutch. All the things that have been happening these past months, clearly Molly was the rat, but who else? Dutch thinks John is the rat. It all just made sense to him. As time passed, Micah just started making perfect sense. Too perfect. It was like Micah was right about everything. That's when Dutch gets suspicious about Micah. He thinks, why does Micah know everything? He questions himself. Is John really the second rat, or is someone else manipulating him? Dutch was confused and he missed Hosea. He thinks if Hosea was here, he would have solved this confusion. Dutch notices Arthur's health is getting worse, and he realizes Arthur has very little time to live. Dutch is sad. His son is going to die soon, and here he is thinking that Arthur and John are the rat. It's truly bad. Dutch is having insane thoughts like killing everyone and leaving. Micah talked to Dutch more, and Micah gave Dutch the hope he wants. Everything is a mess. Everyone is fighting among themselves, and everyone is there for themselves. And daily he's getting more hateful toward John. He confronts John and tells him he would have left John to hang. Dutch believes John is the rat, but there's a part of him that thinks John cannot be the rat. Every day, Dutch just questions himself and everyone. He's getting more aggressive. Everyone notices this and is concerned for Dutch, but Dutch just pushes everyone away. Dutch makes a new plan. They will go to New York, and after that, Tahiti. Dutch tells this to Arthur, and Arthur is not looking well, and even Dutch knows Arthur can't make it to New York. This breaks Dutch even more, and he gets more angry. He never sees reason, he just sees what's right for him. He uses people like eagle flies for his own good. He doesn't care about anyone. Arthur confronts Dutch one day and tells him to wake up and see how many people died because of Dutch's plans. Dutch shows no emotion and calls Arthur the rat and just spouts his nonsense about loyalty. The gang robs the train as they planned, but in the process John gets shot, so Dutch and others go to pick him up. John was injured, but he was alive. Dutch and others got to him, but they didn't save him and left him to die. Dutch had regret, so he just kept telling himself John died. The gang hears about Abigail, and Dutch decides to save her. But Micah tells Dutch she's just bait without John, and Dutch agrees, so they leave with the money. Dutch and the others come to camp and start packing up. But then Arthur comes and tells Dutch that Micah was the rat all along, Milton told him. Dutch was confused and he didn't know what to do. Then John walks in, accusing Dutch of leaving him to die. Dutch didn't know what to do. He had two options. Either go with his two sons he pretty much raised for 20 years, or go with the man who only joined some months ago. Dutch still goes toward Micah, but Micah shoots Susan, and Dutch sees it. Then Dutch just moves on his own, and he walks toward Arthur and John. He thinks about all the things he did, all the lives he destroyed. Dutch just couldn't take it anymore. After seeing Micah killing Susan, Dutch knew that even if Micah wasn't the rat, he was not a good man. Dutch wanted to do what's right in the end. Bill and Javier were confused, but they followed Dutch. All the things start making sense to him. Ever since Micah joined the gang has just been going downhill. Now Dutch, Arthur, John, Bill, and Javier were against Micah, Cleet, and Joe. Bill and Javier were confused as to why Dutch chose Arthur and John, but in the end, they had to follow him. Javier was happy, as he didn't face his brothers. In panic, Micah started telling Dutch how wrong this is. Micah gets more panicked, and he shouts the truth, that he was the rat all along. Dutch was about to shoot Micah, but but then the Pinkertons attack them. Arthur tells Dutch to save John, and Dutch agrees. They escape through a cave, and Javier takes John to his family in Sadie, while Bill, Dutch, and Arthur fight the Pinkertons. Dutch manages to get away with Arthur and Bill, but Micah attacks Dutch. Dutch was angry and he fought Micah. Micah was pretty strong, but Dutch, Bill, and Arthur finish him off. Dutch takes Arthur to John, and they all escape. Dutch still asks for forgiveness from Arthur and John. After some days, Arthur passes away, surrounded by his family, and John and his family leave for Yukon. Dutch goes into isolation, seeking redemption, and Bill and Javier go their separate ways. As Micah was already dead, John never goes after him, so Edgar Ross never finds John, and RDR1 never happens. Dutch will try to help others like he used to do with Hosea and Arthur. But let's say RDR1 happens. Edgar Ross eventually finds John and sends him to hunt down his remaining gang members. John didn't have a choice. He had to hunt down Bill, Javier, and Dutch. John first goes to Fort Mercer, and the story is pretty much the same as it was in canon. John still goes to Mexico to hunt Bill and Javier, but in this version the encounters are sad, as they took Arthur and John's side in the end. But for his family, John captures them. The real change comes when John goes to hunt Dutch, who is a completely different man. He's still helping people, and he has lost everything. When John goes to Dutch to capture him, Dutch doesn't fight. He comes with John. After all, he wants to redeem himself from all the horrible things he did in the past, and he also wants to make sure Arthur's request is intact. Dutch goes with John, and they reach Blackwater. Dutch gets captured, and John goes back to Beecher's Hope. While in prison, Dutch hears some Pinkertons talking about how they will go to Beecher's Hope to kill John Marston. Dutch gets angry. He tries to escape, but couldn't. He looks for ways to escape, but couldn't find any. At night, Dutch comes up with a plan and barely escapes from the prison, and he goes straight to Beecher's Hope. He didn't know where it was, but he finds it. Dutch tells John about this, but then the army and Pinkertons attack them. There were too many of them. John and Dutch take cover, and they fight. Dutch now only needs to save John and his family. He fights the Pinkertons with John. They manage to take down many Pinkertons. John and his family escape from there, while Dutch gives them cover. Edgar Ross and others arrive, but the ranch was empty. Dutch was hiding, but as soon as he gets the chance, he shoots Edgar Ross and fights all of them. He manages to eliminate most of them, but in the process, he is shot too. Dutch falls to the ground and takes his last breath, knowing John and his family escaped. In the end, Dutch makes sure that Arthur's wish is intact. Meanwhile, John, Abigail, Jack, and Uncle manage to escape, and they all live someplace else. Anyways, if you like this what if, consider subscribing and drop down in the comments what ifs y'all want next.